Hello everyone, it's me, Flashes. So I made a build guide on Oraxia the other day, but I missed out on quite a lot of things which I was told about in the comments, so I just wanted to quickly make an update for that video. With the sheer amount of people commenting the same thing, I felt like a little sussy baka, but I do know that I appreciate the criticism and I want to act upon it as well. So first of all, I suggested using the Ignis Wraith, Latum, and also the dual Ichor for Oraxia's weapons. Everyone and their mums told me that instead of using the Ignis Wraith, I should use the Kuva Sobek because there's a neat interaction between one of this gun's augments and Oraxia's fourth ability. By the way, if you don't know how to get Kuva weapons, I'll make a guide on that very shortly, so stay tuned. So the augment in question is called Acid Shells, and basically it makes enemies explode with corrosive damage. If you've been watching me for a while, then you'll know that I absolutely love chain reactions in this game, especially the ones from like Nova's Fourth. So when I found out that we could do something like that on Oraxia, I was ecstatic. So for the Kuva Sobek, you'll ideally want the Toxin element, but it's not absolutely important as we're still going to be modding for Toxin anyways. But hey, some extra Toxin damage doesn't hurt. And here is the build that I'm running. So firstly, we've got Prime Point Blank for more base damage, along with Galvanized Hell for that sweet multi-shot, then Acid Shells as I mentioned, and Prime Chilling Grass. I use this cold damage to convert our Toxin damage into Viral. Now this is actually pretty useful as Oraxia's fourth ability gives us an additional instance of Toxin damage anyways, so we can mod for Viral instead, which is super strong against most enemies. But yeah, so next we got a bit of a controversial mod that a lot of people might not like, and it's Shotgun Barrage. Okay, now all this does is just increase our fire rate. Alright, so it's not directly it's nothing crazy. It's just a mod that all it does is increase fire rate. But personally, I hate slow fire rate guns. Just something about how it makes like every shot feel like it matters more. And like if I miss a shot, then it's gonna take a whole lot of time for me to get the next shot off. I don't know. I just really don't like it. So I put this mod on. So if you guys can endure the slow fire rate, then I would recommend switching this for something like Prime Ravage, which will give you some extra crit damage, or something like Atomic Fallout, which not only increases your magazine size but also gives you some radiation damage, or Chilling Reload, which will give you more cold and better reload speed as well. So yeah, as you can see, they are increasing the damage, but I still think Shotgun Barrage is better as it's gonna increase our DPS. So even though these other mods, they might increase the damage by like 1,000 or so, we're basically shooting at double the rate, right? So we're gonna get 10,000 or something, you know what I mean? So like just keep that in mind. That's why I use this mod. Up next we got Toxic Barrage for more Toxin damage and increased status chance. Then Shotgun Elementalist is there for more status damage in addition to increasing our magazine capacity. I think this is a way better mod for increasing magazine size than Atomic Fallout, but hey, to each their own. We also have Galvanized Savvy to get some extra damage from our status inflicting machine of a gun. Did that make sense? What? We've also got Galvanized Savvy to get some extra damage from all the status we're going to be inflicting with this gun. Finally, we have Fatal Acceleration, which just increases projectile speed. You may already know that most shotguns, including the Sobek, are hit scan weapons, meaning the game doesn't actually use physics-based projectiles with actual projectile speeds for them. And so you may be wondering why I would even use this mod. Well, what a lot of people don't know is that projectile speed actually affects the damage fall off for shotguns. Basically the range at which your gun is going to stop doing damage. So shotguns are really close range, but when you want to shoot a bit further, this Exilus takes our damage fall off from 25 up to 40 meters, all the way up to 35 to 56 meters. Hopefully that made sense. So it's increasing the minimum by 10 meters, like where the damage fall off starts, and it's increasing the maximum where the final bit of damage, like where after that no damage is going to be happening, all the way up to 56 meters. So really good mod here. That's going to make our weapon way better, you know what I mean? So for the arcane, I've put Primary Merciless, but another really good shout would be Primary Blight. Now the reason why I use Merciless instead of Blight is because 1, I'm broke in this game and I only have Merciless, as you can see. And 2, because I actually think Primary Merciless's buff is low-key better than Blight. So the reason why is, while Blight gives us more crit damage and multi-shot, this isn't really a crit build in the first place, and we're already getting a lot of multi-shot from Galvanized Hell anyway. Whereas with Merciless, every time we get a kill, we'll get more damage, stacking up to plus 360% damage, in addition to plus 30% reload speed. Remember that with Oraxia, we have our Scuttlers, which are surprisingly good at killing stuff on their own without your intervention. So as long as you have your Scuttlers activated all the time, they're going to keep activating this bonus as their kills count as kills for the Arcane. Now, as you can tell, this is an expensive build. We have 2 Prime mods and 2 Galvanized mods. But remember, you can always switch these mods for their base counterparts. And honestly, it's not going to make the gun suddenly shit. Like, the expensive versions of these mods do make the build better, but not so much better that you need all of them for the build to work. So I've made a cheap version over here, and instead of primed point blank, we just got point blank, right? Instead of primed chilling grass, we got chilling grass, okay? Instead of galvanized hell, we're using hell's chamber, and instead of galvanized savvy, we're using shotgun savvy, okay? And at the end of the day, look, we actually have a green stat over here. Oh my god, that's kind of crazy if you ask me. Just ignore all this red. But essentially, the total amount of damage that you're losing out on isn't a lot, okay? At the end of the day, the gun's still good, okay? The gun's still good even with cheaper mods, but if you can, try to get these ones. With that out of the way, let's move on to the next mistake, which actually involves my Oraxia build itself. So in the original build, I was using fleeting expertise, and the reason why was I wanted to tank duration and have my efficiency above 100%. The reason I was doing this was kind of silly, and I acknowledged this myself in the video, but basically when I was testing, I really didn't like that Oraxia's first ability was using more energy than it could actually replenish. It was just bothering me, and so being a certified silly billy, I forgot about mods like Equilibrium and just tunnel visioned onto changing the ability stats. But guys, I was wrong. Alright, we really shouldn't be using fleeting expertise. Like seriously, we really should not be using that. Not only do we low-key want duration for Oraxia anyways, but wasting a mod slot for something like that was just a complete and utter waste. Use Equilibrium, no doubt. Where's Equilibrium? Use Equilibrium. Trust. Finally, we can do one more thing to make Oraxia even cooler. Oops. And that is to use one of her signature weapons. So, this is the one. So this is the Sciotid, I don't know. So this is actually a pretty good weapon by itself, but the main reason we want to use it is for its alternate fire, which tightly groups enemies up. So this is a really good crowd control ability. Like Oraxia already has some crowd control abilities. For example, her the web AoE that she can shoot, which like basically stops the movement of enemies and makes them vulnerable. But like, even so, what happens with that ability is that all the enemies are really far spread apart usually because the AoE is huge, and so it just sometimes it's not the best. Sometimes not the best. And so in the scenario where you really want to just like group some enemies, you can switch to your secondary, use the alternate fire, group some enemies really tightly into like the size of one enemy, and then just completely annihilate them, you know what I mean? So yeah, this is a really good tool for crowd control, especially if you don't have the Nautilus. But yeah, and yes, I don't have the gun, leave me alone. Alright guys, this was a pretty quick video. I'm working on something cool right now, but I realized that I wouldn't be able to finish it by this week, so I made this video for now. This kind of reminds me of some of my earlier videos where I just talk and, you know, very minimal planning. But yeah, hopefully I've been able to clear up the stuff that was wrong in my original video. So yeah, remember to subscribe, guys. Apparently only like 1% of you guys are subscribed, and it breaks my heart. So please, I'm begging you. Anyways, this has been Flashes. See ya.